Hey guys, I'm gonna do another tutorial. Um, Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the skin tone of this skin to match it with the head. I don't own any of the models; they're made by someone else. I'm just doing this for range, and I thought I could make a good tutorial because a lot of people often wonder like um, how to change the skin tone of a skin to match with the head. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you two methods how to do it. The first one is by simply changing the texture to one that fits the head. Um, the head texture actually had a body with it, so it's got the neck and the arms and the legs. So I'm just going to use that. And after that, I'm also going to show you a way if, for instance, you don't have set texture, you can just change the skin tone of the original skin in Photoshop. But first things first, let's apply the texture that came with the head. Just going to drag that on. Yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is we're going to unwrap it to get an idea of how it looks. Just like that. Right, so basically we're just going to start at the top. We're going to take the neck and the chest area, and we're just going to apply them, move them towards where they are on the texture. I always like to go into options and change the brightness to 1. And I also like to remove the grid, especially when you're working with a darker texture. It just makes things a little bit easier to see the texture. So yeah, just gonna take this one, drag it over here, make it fit. Okay, let's take the back of the neck and do the exact same thing. It's actually already down here. Okay, that being done, let's move on to the hands first, because for this I will just have to do them one by one. Right. Basically what we're going to do is now we're going to do the same thing for the legs. So we're just going to unwrap them and move them into the right spot. we're going to do the same thing for the arms, and then we're also going to match them to the hands. Right, so this is basically it. This looks good enough. But there are different ways to do this. For instance, if you don't have a texture like I just had, and you have to change the original skin tone, that's something that you need to do in Photoshop. So I'm going to go do that right now. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to now take this texture, the white texture, and change it to match with the head. So to do that, we go into Photoshop, and for the sake of this video I blocked out the head texture because I don't own it. It's made by someone else. Normally I would take a sample from the head, but you can also take a sample from any color. The idea is that we match it to this color. So I'm just going to take a sample from the chest and use that instead. Alright. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that into the texture from the skin tone that we want to change. And just like that, you have like a sample of the skin tone that it needs to be, that it needs to match to. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the original layer. And the first thing I usually always do is to see if we can match it. If we can see if we can match it by colorizing it. So I'm going to take a sample, take the color code that we want to change it to, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to colorize it. Basically what it does is it adapts to the color that I selected, which is this color. And now what we can do is we can play with the saturation and the lightness to make it a little bit more towards that dark color. Right, much more than this I can't really get from it because it's such a bright color. So what we can do is we can go into curves and we can make the darker colors a little bit darker. That way you get your shadows back, which you need to have a good looking skin. Alright. What we can do is we can replace color. And this is basically you select one of the main colors from the skin that you want to change, and then copy paste the color that you want to change it to, and you can just play around with the settings to make it match as best as possible. Right, we're getting close, but we're not there yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the saturation. Alright, let's see how it looks so we can see what we still need to change. It's always good to add your material to the material editor if you're going to change it a lot in Photoshop and want to see how it works. Because if you just drag it on and then change it, it won't refresh if you edit it. But if you apply it like this, let me show you real quick. If you apply it like this, every time I change the texture now in every time I save a new version of the image in my folder, I can simply refresh the texture on the model by pressing M twice to open the material editor, and it will automatically refresh the texture. So that's one easy way if you are going to do a lot of work in Photoshop. In terms of the texture itself, it looks pretty spot on. We could play a little bit more with the neck colors, but for the purpose of this video and also to keep it short, This is basically how you do it. So you can go as crazy with this as you want to. For example, when I send this back to range, I will fix this. I will pay a little bit more closer attention to the details and make it look good. But it all depends on your own preference. These are basically the two ways to change the skin tone color. If you guys have any other suggestions about videos for me to make, about tutorials and stuff you want to learn, just send me a message and I'll see if I can do it.